Hey folks, Pastor Troy here, Raven Ministries International Training Center, and the pastor of the Harvest Center Church right here in the greater New Orleans area. Just finishing up my daily 5. Most of you guys know I come out the park, run 5 miles, get out in the good sunshine, get the heart rate up, get to feeling better, and sit down to catch a breather in the shade and kind of share with you kind of just some things that have been on my heart as I've run around this track and as I've just meditated throughout the week. You know, one of the big challenges, I think about in regard to the ministry, and not just the ministry like we talk about the fivefold of Ephesians 4:11 and 12, but just people that aspire to some type of authority or position or something of that nature. It's interesting. I think, what is it, Mark 9:35, that I believe it is, Jesus speaking to his disciples. He said, the greatest in the kingdom are going to be those that are the servants of all. And Jesus even said of himself that he came not into the world to be served, but to serve, and to be a servant of all is really what he came to be. And he demonstrated that obviously through his life and through his death upon the cross of Calvary, when he really served up himself for the redemption of man's sins. Folks, that's such a far cry, I believe, on so many people's, aspirations, especially those that, adhere to some level of leadership. It's almost like you graduate at a certain point that you're not the servant anymore, that you don't do the menial things, that you do the more majestic things, if I can put it that way. But I look at to the very end of Jesus's life and public ministry. We're talking about Jesus, the King of Kings and the Lord of Lords. He was obviously given the Spirit without measure. He was the Anointed One. He was God made flesh. But none of those things were ever too menial and too small for him. Washing his disciples' feet right there to the end, giving his life as a ransom for other folks, just doing the things that a lot of times we expect other people to do. I just wonder what happened to the heart of servanthood, because I can look in the book of Acts, I can look at the early church, and you see really those examples of ministers and ministry, and much of it was characterized by folks just laying themselves and their lives down. Somewhere along the line that's got lost, that you get to a certain place, you've been in the ministry a certain level, a certain number of years, or you've reached a certain level of notoriety or prominence, and you can't pick up a chair or clean a toilet or do anything like that anymore. That's what you get other people to do. I've been in the ministry now, 35 years. And I never want to outgrow that. I really don't. I never want to get too big for my britches and think that I'm too good, or I'm too special, or I'm too anointed to have to make sacrifices. Folks, and really I think that's what it comes down to, is living a sacrificial life. And I think about what Jesus, his instructions in, Matthew 16:24, he said if you're going to be his disciple, his follower, he said that's going to be characterized by denying self. Self-denial is a biggie. I mean, it really is. We're self-preservers, and we want to promote self and self-help and all these things that we do. But he said if you want to be his disciple, you deny self, you take up your cross. In other words, you embrace the implement of your own demise. That's really what the sacrificial life is, and taking up your cross. Galatians 2:20, I've been crucified with Christ. Nevertheless I live, but no longer I that live, but it's Christ who lives inside of me. And the life that I now live. And folks, when's now? Now's all the time. Now doesn't stop tomorrow. So I don't live a crucified life today so I can live a selfish life tomorrow. The life that I now live, I live by faith in the Son of God who loved me and gave himself for me. And he gave it completely. And so I believe that, God is and God has really called his church, called his body, I'll just put it that way, called his body to really just to a place of fidelity that's marked by really a servant's heart. Not what can I get, but what can I give? And that's really what it is, to measure out the giving. You hear people say it's more blessed to give to receive, and most of them mean as long as you're the one giving and I'm the one receiving. And it really is. There's something about giving of your life. And you think about it, no greater love is any man known than a man that would lay down his life for his friends. And we think about the extremes of, I take a bullet for someone, or, I donate a kidney to someone, or, I risk my heartbeat for someone. But laying down your life is much deeper than that. It really comes down to what are those things that characterize what your life is. And usually it's your time, it's your money, it's your preferences. That's what our life is. That's what mine is. On a daily basis, if something's required of me, it's like, okay, somebody is wanting to intrude upon my schedule, or somebody is wanting to make me, change maybe what my plan was to somehow accommodate them. Well, I got a choice to make, and that choice is to choose to lay down my life. I've been looking at, kind of Moses' final salutations in his the book of Deuteronomy lately, and just really camping out there on just some study, just really for personal usage, more so than just to prepare a sermon. I haven't preached out of it, but thinking about, what is it, the 30th chapter, and I believe it's the 11th verse, and he said, listen, I've given you a choice. I've given you the opportunity to choose life and death. But he had prefaced all that by saying, hey, listen, it's attainable. You can do this. This isn't something that's so far-fetched. It's something that if you meditate upon, if it's something that you listen to, it's something that you adhere to, it's something that you think about, he said, you can do it. I'm not putting something so far out there. But the fact of the matter is most people just won't put in the time. We want to kind of punch the clock and kind of move on from a place of obedience, say, yeah, there it is. There's what I just did. But he says, there's, if you're going to go into the land, and if you're obedient, if you're faithful, if you don't follow strange gods, if you just do what I said, he said, I'm going to defeat your enemies. I'm going to bless you. I'm going to give you all the promises that I had for you. Now, he didn't ever eliminate the necessity for work. He didn't say you're not going to have to work. He didn't say you're not have to battle. He just said, I'm going to give you the victory. And I think that's what we want sometimes. We want to get to a place where we don't have to work anymore. We want to get to a place where we don't have to break a sweat, where we don't have to put a whole lot of effort into it, and we can say, okay, I did my time, and so let me just sit back and just have the blessings heaped upon me. Folks, that's just not the reality. The reality is that, man, we work while there's yet day, because the night's coming where no man can work. And that night's not a place where you're going to reap the benefits. That night is the place where it's going to come to an end, and the judgment of God is going to be upon us, and he's going to judge us for everything that we've done in this life and in this world. And the question is what are you investing in? Do you have a servant's heart? Do you desire to be great in the kingdom? Or are you holding out for now? And it's challenging. The world, I understand the world, it's the dog eat dog, and it's the quote unquote American dream and all these things. You want to get what you can get what you can get what you can get while you can get it, if I could put it that way. But that's not the way it is for the kingdom. John the Baptist, Jesus said of him, no man born of woman was greater than John the Baptist. And he was the guy that is known by, I got to decrease so that he can increase. Are you in the business of decreasing, or are you in the pursuit of increasing? I have found out that my influence, just as a person, is often most felt in my decrease. When I kind of get out of the way, and when I'm a blessing to someone else, when I give other opportunities, not just simply when I take my opportunities or I put myself out there, but when I help other people do something. I was having a conversation with a fellow minister just recently when I was out of town. And we're just talking about, in the ministry and, making disciples. And I was kind of halfway joking, but, I was really being serious. I said, it kind of blows me away when you got men of God, women of God, that can go somewhere by themselves and minister. I said, for me, I can even go to Chick-fil-A by myself without somebody wanting to jump in the car with me. It ought to be that way. We ought to be those that gather people around us that want a part of our life, that want to be a part of us. And we really have to be willing to lay our lives down for other people, for the benefit of someone else. And kind of just something the Lord spoke to me probably 25 or 30 years ago. I've always been evangelistic since I came to Jesus. And he told me it's not enough to be evangelistic. You've got to be altruistic. And literally that means basically living your life for the benefit of other people. That's what a servant is. That's when we live sacrificially. Are you living your life for the benefit of other people? And I'm not talking just about other people just in your circle. We'll say, a guy say, well, I'm living it. I go to work every day for my kids and for my wife. Yeah, that's the easy ones to do. But what about the people that can't give you anything back? What about the people that you may not have a personal vested interest in? What about the people that never say thank you? What about the people that it doesn't seem like you get a return on investment? What about laying your life down for those folks? Because that's what Jesus did. He laid his life down for us while we were not even a people, and he laid his life down so that we could be a people. I just want to challenge you today about just living sacrificially. Saying, God, am I a servant? Because I want to be great in the kingdom. Not great in this kingdom, because his kingdom doesn't come with observation. Men will probably never see these things. May get a few clicks on this, or maybe 50 or 100 watches on this video, big deal. But for his kingdom, I want to stand before him one day and him say, well done, my good and faithful servant, enter into your rest. And I know that's not by me producing the most amount of numbers or claiming I led the most people to Jesus, or got the most visitors cards filled out, or running the most numbers, or whatever else, had the biggest budget. But it's how much of my life can I lay down? How much of myself can I yield to him and to give unto others? And folks, really, I believe that's what it's really going to come down to at the end of the day. That's the measurables in the kingdom. Once again, PT here, finishing up the 5. Love you. God bless you, and have a wonderful day in Jesus. Next time.